The movie begins with a young man named Jun Woo, who wakes up one morning and decides to skip school. Instead, he wants to spend the day playing computer game with his friends. While they're playing, one of his gaming buddies suddenly shouts, "Turn on the TV now and check the news." Jun, curious, switches on the television. A news anchor is speaking, but suddenly the broadcast cuts off. He grabs his phone but finds that there's no signal. Looking out the window, he sees people running in panic, some attacking each other for no apparent reason. Soon after, he hears people shouting inside his apartment building. He peeks through the peephole but sees no one. Just as he's about to open the door, his neighbor bursts in. The neighbor tries to calm him and begs, "Just let me use your bathroom, then I'll leave." Jun agrees and lets him in. Meanwhile, the TV signal returns, and the news reports that communication networks are unstable and that entire cities have descended into chaos due to a new infection. Those who are infected turn into zombies, extremely violent and driven by a hunger for human flesh. Jun suddenly remembers his neighbor in the bathroom, and sensing danger, goes to grab a knife. The neighbor walks out, covering a wound on his neck. Jun raises the knife defensively. The neighbor tries to calm him, insisting, "I'm fine, I just need to stay for 1 hour." But Jun notices blood on the man's hand and begins to panic. Not long after, the neighbor's eye starts bleeding. He glances at the mirror, lets out a horrified scream, and his body begins convulsing violently. His limbs twist unnaturally until he fully transforms into a zombie and lunges at Jun, trying to bite him. Jun fights back, managing to shove him out of the apartment and stabs him as the zombie tries to force his way in. Jun locks the door just in time. Jun, frozen in fear, drags a large refrigerator in front of the door to block any intruders. He tries to call his sister, but the network is too weak. Jun looks at a photo of his family praying for their safety. He gathers all the remaining food in the house and realizes how little is left. He falls asleep on the couch. The next morning, the news reports that the outbreak is getting worse. More people are turning into zombies. A reporter asks a doctor what people should do. She replies, "Zombies become extremely violent and unpredictable. Everyone must stay inside, lock up securely, and store enough food for at least 2 months." Jun sees people online posting photos with their names and addresses, begging the army and police for help. He watches a video of someone stepping out onto their balcony, holding up their phone, trying to catch a signal, and they succeed. But then the person loses balance and falls from the balcony. This gives Jun an idea. He attaches his phone to a drone and connects it to his VR goggles to control it. He flies the drone into the sky, surveying the destroyed buildings and wandering zombies below. He flies it higher in search of a signal. It works. He gets 1 bar and quickly tries to call his sister, but just as the call is about to go through, the drone's battery dies and crashes, taking his phone down with it. Hopelessness consumes Jun. That night, he hears strange noises from the street. He peeks out of the window, but suddenly, a gunshot narrowly misses him. Outside, a female police officer is trying to fend off a horde of zombies. She's running out of bullets. Desperately, she loads her last magazine, but it's not enough. Just before the zombies reach her, she tries to shoot herself, but she fails. The gun drops and the zombies drag her screaming across the street. Jun witnesses everything. Suddenly, loud banging starts at his door. He grabs a baseball bat and braces for impact. The pounding is so strong that the fridge blocking the door shifts and falls. To his horror, a zombie emerges from behind it. Jun realizes he can't fight the zombies off for long, so he runs toward the balcony, thinking of a bold escape plan. He rushes out and pretends to jump, but in reality, he just hangs off the edge, clinging tightly. The zombie chasing him leaps off right after him, believing Jun had jumped too, but the zombie falls to its death. Jun looks down, sees the body, and feels a deep sense of relief. Jun quickly shuts the door to his apartment and nails it shut with planks to prevent any more intrusions. As he assesses the damage inside, Jun sees that all the food he had left has spilled out of the fridge during the earlier zombie attack. He feels crushed. This was the last of his supplies. More days pass, with no updates. Jun begins drinking his father's alcohol more frequently, eventually dancing aimlessly around the apartment in a drunken state. In his intoxication, he starts hallucinating that his family has returned. He sees his mother and runs to hug her, only to snap out of it and realize it was all in his imagination. He breaks down in tears from emotional exhaustion and dehydration. Later, Jun receives a voice message from his mother. Desperate to hear her voice, he climbs out the window, trying to catch a signal. The plan works. He manages to get a weak connection, and his mother answers, but what he hears shatters him. "We're at the Adabok company. There are zombies breaking in." Then he hears her and his sister screaming as zombies attack them. The line goes dead. 20 days have now passed. June has finished all the alcohol. He looks outside and sees electrical substations exploding. Soon, the entire building loses power. Hopelessness sets in. He picks up his camera to make one last video but can't even utter a single word. Emotionally destroyed, he decides to end his life. He ties a rope and prepares to hang himself. As he begins to lose consciousness, a red laser suddenly shines on him from the apartment building across the street. It points to a board that simply says, "No." June snaps out of his attempt and unhooks himself. It turns out a woman in the neighboring building named Kim had spotted him and was trying to stop him with her laser pointer. She continues signaling to him, using a board with written messages, asking him not to speak aloud to avoid alerting the zombies. They agree to communicate using hand gestures. She calls him an idiot for thinking about suicide, and they agree to meet at their windows every morning at 7 a.m. The next morning, June shows up at the window, clearly starving. Kim notices and decides to send him food. She tries to toss him a ball attached to a rope so they can build a line between the two apartments, but it fails. The distance is too great. Then, June brings out a second drone he had, this time tying a rope to it. He flies the drone across to Kim's apartment, successfully connecting the line between them. Kim successfully manages to send a bag of food to June using the rope, and he's overjoyed when he receives it. He thanks her sincerely, but his happiness quickly turns into panic when he notices a catastrophe unfolding outside. One of the zombies in the street has grabbed onto the rope. The zombie takes advantage of the situation and begins climbing the rope toward her. June, seeing this, is desperate to do something. He starts throwing bottles at the zombie to stop it, but they don't reach. The creature keeps climbing undeterred. Thinking quickly, June launches his drone and flies it directly to the zombie. He circles around it, trying to distract it. The plan works. The zombie becomes disoriented. The zombie climbing toward Kim grabs the drone, but just as it's about to reach her window, Kim regains consciousness. She grabs a weapon and cuts off the zombie's hand, killing it before it can get any closer. The zombies below scream and rage at her. Meanwhile, June wraps duct tape around his shoes to muffle the sound of his footsteps and grabs a stick. He sneaks out of his apartment and spots a part of his neighbor's body on the ground. He takes the neighbor's keys and breaks into the apartment. Inside, he heads straight to the fridge, taking all the food he can carry. In one of the rooms, he finds a corpse lying motionless. He cautiously checks if it's alive or dead. Suddenly, a zombie lunges at him from behind. June uses the dead body as a shield and escapes, running for his life, but luckily makes it back to his own apartment safely. Relieved, June enjoys the food he collected and prepares a portion to send to Kim, along with one of the walkie-talkies he found in the other apartment. The next day, they communicate through the walkie-talkies. June is thrilled to finally talk to someone again. Kim thanks him for the food, admitting she ate it all. June responds, "I should be the one thanking you. You saved my life." But Kim humbly replies, "I didn't save your life. You wanted to live. I just gave you a reason to hold on." June smiles, telling her, "Either way, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't still be here." They change the subject and begin cooking at the same time, sharing casual conversations throughout the day. Suddenly, both hear what they think is rain, and they get excited to collect water. But they quickly realize it's not rain at all. It's the sound of a massive horde of zombies running toward the building. Panicked, both June and Kim drop to the ground, trying not to make a sound, but Kim accidentally knocks over a table. The loud crash draws the zombies toward her apartment. Terrified, she radios June and tells him what just happened. June doesn't hesitate. He comes up with a distraction plan. He calls the phone line of another apartment in Kim's building. The ringing sound draws the zombies away from Kim's unit, buying her precious time. The two then agree it's time to escape the buildings and find a safe place. Kim believes the 8th floor of a specific building nearby is clear of zombies. She's been observing it for days and hasn't seen any movement. Determined, Kim decides to go first. She ties a rope to herself and climbs out the window. On her way down, she encounters several zombies, but she fights them off with precision, using her weapons and sheer determination. Despite their numbers, she handles them like a pro. June watches in awe. She retrieves the gun that was lying on the ground, but just as a zombie is about to bite her, June rushes down and joins the battle. Together, they fight side by side, fending off the creatures. They manage to escape and run toward the building Kim mentioned. Once inside, they slam the door shut, but the glass is weak and won't hold for long. The zombies begin smashing it. June and Kim quickly rush to the elevator, barely making it in time, and enjoy a moment of safety. They reach the 8th floor and begin inspecting the hallway. There's no sign of any zombies. They try opening some of the apartment doors, but all are locked. Then, they suddenly see a zombie approaching from behind. Within seconds, a whole army of zombies appears. June slams down a large iron gate across the hallway to delay the horde, buying them time, and begins attacking. Eventually, Kim manages to open the door of one of the apartments, but suddenly someone pulls her inside. That person throws a smoke grenade to cover their movement and calls for June to follow. June rushes in, and for a brief moment, they find safety. But Kim is suspicious and asks, "Who are you?" The man introduces himself as Xiang and says, "You should be thanking me." Kim is still confused and says, "I was sure no one was on the 8th floor." Xiang responds, "I thought I was the only one alive in this whole area." He offers them some water, but Kim hesitates until he drinks from the same bottle. Only then does she feel safe enough to drink too. Xiang also offers them food, saying, "Eat this while we wait for the rescue team." Both June and Kim are shocked and hopeful to hear that a rescue team is coming. Sung explains, "I saw it on the TV." June, overwhelmed with joy, hugs Kim, feeling that finally there's a chance to survive. But just a few minutes later, June suddenly collapses. He's been drugged. It turns out Sung had laced the food with a sedative. Kim doesn't have time to react. She too collapses. Xiong drags Kim across the floor into another room, ties her up, and locks her inside. When Kim regains consciousness, she finds herself face to face with a zombie chained beside her. Then she hears Xiong's voice from behind the door. He starts releasing the zombie toward her. Shockingly, Sung reveals the truth. This zombie used to be his wife. He wants her to feed on any living human to survive. That's why he locked Kim inside. He's offering her as food to his undead wife. At that moment, June wakes up and aims the gun at Sung, calling him a monster. Sung, desperate, says, "I'm just trying to save my wife from death." He then releases the zombie's chain and tells June, "Let her eat Kim and I'll let you live. I'll even give you all the food you want." He pleads with June to agree, but June struggles to hold on to the chain. It slips from his hand, and the zombie moves closer to Kim, who screams in terror. June tries frantically to open the door, and Sung falls to the ground. Then suddenly, Kim goes quiet. Thinking it's over, Sung opens the door to check, but his zombie wife turns on him and attacks. In that moment, Kim grabs the gun and aims it at them. Sung does nothing. He lets himself be eaten. "Let her feed," he says, offering himself willingly. Kim, with no other choice, pulls the trigger and kills both Xiang and the zombie. But the gunfire echoes through the building, and every zombie in the area hears it. They begin swarming toward the apartment. Kim and June hear the growls and pounding footsteps. Dread sets in. They fear this is truly the end. Kim hands the gun to June and pleads, "Shoot me." June, shocked and crying, hesitates, but before he can do anything, they suddenly hear the sound of helicopters above. They rush to the window and spot military helicopters circling. Quickly, they head to the rooftop, throwing smoke grenades as signals and fighting off zombies along the way. As they climb the stairs, Kim slips and falls, but June saves her and shouts for her to go up first and stop the helicopter. She reaches the rooftop, but by the time June follows and locks the door behind him, the helicopters are gone. They've left. June stands in disbelief. He screams, pleading for help from anyone who might still hear. The zombies break through the rooftop door and charge toward them. June shoots too with the last of his bullets, but then the gun clicks empty. Just as they brace for death, a military helicopter suddenly appears and opens fire on the zombies. The soldiers shoot every last one of them, clearing the rooftop. They call for June and Kim, who climb aboard. The helicopter lifts off into the sky. They're safe.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe for more movie recaps.